Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Heaven, a necromantic dating sim. Let's go ahead and continue. Now we're gonna do Izagi's section. I wanted to save her for last, but I couldn't wait. You turn the page and look down at Izagi's diagram. You inhale deeply. Izagi. You remember spending hours training with her alone in the dojo, silently moving in sync as her sparring took you back and forth across the floor. You remember how graceful she was. Her movements seemed so light, but whenever she struck, it was like being hit by a landslide. You can still remember her intense stare, like she was inspecting your soul. Most of all, you remember the comfortable silences when neither of you had to say anything. You realize your body is subtly flexing its muscles, as if remembering the old kata she drilled into you. Your pleasant memories turn cold when you feel the pain in your feet, then in your arms, and you remember where you are. It's time to face her again. Izagi Ito. The diagram on the page stops shifting and locks into place as a hexagon. You feel the air around you become cold. You catch a soft whispering at the edge of your hearing. A finger emerges from the grim wire, then a hand. An arm follows, then another, and you step away as they grip the edge of the table. After a few seconds, Izagi's ghost has pulled itself out of the book. It steps off the table and onto the floor, then turns to face you. It stands there, towering over you, and you take a step back as it flexes its hands. You can see its chest rising and falling, and hear its heavy breathing. Izagi? You cheated me. Again. Izagi, listen to me. I don't know who exactly you think I am, but I'm not the plague, and I didn't track you down to hurt you. Look. You lift your goggles so she can see part of your face. I don't know you. All I see is ash and cancer. Damn it. I came here to find a cure for the plague, so that more people don't end up like you. That doesn't make any sense. You're a liar. The ghost reaches behind its back with two arms and pulls out a black sword. Before you can react, it slices across your chest. But the blade passes through your body harmlessly. The ghost lowers the sword and grips its head with its other pair of hands in frustration. Ah! Izagi, calm down. Just calm down. Go to hell. Who are you? What do you want? You swallow hard and take off your hood, then wipe the ash off your face and try to fix your matted hair. You keep your mask on, however. It's me, Uzo. Izagi's ghost leans down so that its bull-like head is level with yours. Seems to stare at you for a while. Can't be. No one escaped. You stare back at the ghost's eyeless head. I made it out. I lied to the guards and they let me out. I've been living on the ground since what happened here. The ghost tilts its head and reaches out to touch your mask. Take off your mask. It's the only thing keeping me from dying. If I take it off, I'll breathe in more ash and dust and all. Take it off! I can't! You reach into your satchel. Your hand falls on the battered secret set, and you pull it out. You set it down on the table and look up at Izagi's ghost. Do you remember this game? You hated it, but you tried to get better. You fumble with a notebook from your bag and rip out a page. You carefully fold and tear the ragged edges so that the page becomes a square. As the ghost watches in silence, you hastily fold an origami lotus. When you're finished, you hold out the paper lotus to Izagi's ghost. You remember the lotus gambit, don't you? If I really do know you, then I'll be able to predict your moves, even without seeing your pieces. The ghost looks at the paper lotus, then raises its hand. It hesitates, and takes the flower with its fingertips. My instructor told me to practice that game. What does the lotus mean? It seems familiar. The lotus is a symbol of perfection. Normally I'd ask you to fold one, but I don't think I need one for this game. I remember the way you play, and I bet you remember how I play too. You set up the pieces and sit down at the table. When everything is set, you take a length of gauze from your satchel and wrap it around your head so that it covers your eyes. Your vision goes dark, but you can still hear Izagi's ghost breathing. Alright, ready. Are you? You hear the chair across from you drag against the floor, and you hand the cards across the table and set them down. You hear the ghost pick up 2 of them, and set the others on the tabletop. You can't see which cards are left, but you know what Izagi always chose, Kama and Chigiriki. If I remember right, he picked Kama and Chigiriki because they're the most reliable, simple ones. That is correct. And you remember what I always picked, right? You take the cards and drew out the Gunsen and Kama. Uzo picked the Gunsen and Kama. You tilt your cards forward to reveal their faces. The ghost grunts in affirmation. With the lowest gambit, I have to play blindfolded. You have 1 piece. I have 3. Same rules as otherwise. Ready? Yes. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we can resign. Just go with the Chigiriki. So I should protect my main piece. So, let's go with Gunsen. Defend that. Okay, she's playing Kama, so she might play something here. Let's go with a Kama. Oh, well, we don't want to do that. We go here. She's playing Chigiriki. And then we put that there to protect it. Okay. Then we choose a Kama. Oh, she ate it. Okay, let's okay. Move up there. Move that there. And we go with another Gunsen, and then we go there. The opponent is out of moves and decides to resign. Okay. Oh, I sure am getting lucky with that. I was not very good at it at the beginning, when they were alive. But I sure am beating the ghosts. I lose. I thought so. I still remember you. You hook a thumb under the blindfold and look over the board. You were always bold, never held anything back. I admired that about you, even if it got on my nerves sometimes. You're also impatient. That's why you usually lost at this game. I remember when I played it with you in your room, and after you started training with your sword, you were having trouble with the rhythm of swordplay. I tried to explain how sword fighting is like Seeker. You start to chuckle, then realize something. And it was one of the few times I taught you something. I remember you taught me a lot of things. That was Izagi's voice, not her ghost's. Izagi. You raise your eyes to the figure sitting across from you and find Izagi staring back at you. She looks just like you remember her. Her eyes are locked on yours and you watch her lean forward to get a closer look. I recognize your eyes. It really is you. She frowns and furrows her brow. Have you been here the whole time? In its sun? No, I came back here to find you. I've been underground for years, trying to get away from the plague. Izagi's expression softens and she covers her mouth with one hand. She looks around as if she's noticed her surroundings for the first time. It feels like I've been dreaming for a long, long time. My mind has been full of voices all screaming. Some of them are mine, some are others. She trails off and closes her eyes. God, it's so quiet now. I forgot what quiet felt like. Izagi leans forward and rests her forehead on her palm. She stays that way for almost a minute. You see her grimace after a while, like something is stinging her. Izagi, you okay? I've forgotten so many things. Memories I didn't even know I had. I feel like there's all this hatred, but I can't remember. It's okay. We figured it out. For now, though, just stay calm and all. Izaki's eyes fly open, and she slowly raises her head to look at you. Her eyes narrow, and you see her fists clench. I remember. You're a liar. All this hate boiling in me. It's because of you. Izagi, hold on, we can... Izagi starts rising to her feet. Her eyes are still locked on yours. No, fuck you. I remember what you did. She walks around the side of the table and tries to grab your collar. Her hands pass through. She growls at you and steps back. You made me trust you, even when I didn't want to. You... Wait, what's she talking about? As Izagi speaks, you see her body begin to change. Her frame elongates and grows taller. Her face begins to warp, and her clothes turn black. Izagi, wait! You're a coward. I should have broken every bone in your body. Two horns erupt from the sides of her head, and she clenches her eyes shut. Soon her face shifts into a mask-like visage you recognize from before. The shadows begin to writhe around Izagi, and 6 black swords rise from out of the darkness. They float around her, and you see more arms emerge from the sleeves of her shirt. Finally, the thing standing before you is no longer Izagi. It's the thing from the river. I hate you. You should have died. You look at the grimoire and desperately reach for the cover. With one swift movement, you slam it shut. Immediately, the ghost disappears, leaving behind nothing but warped, shifting shadows in its place. You slump back in your chair and stare into the dark. I had her. For a few minutes. She was Izagi. Her words echo in your head. I hate you. You should have died. You wipe the sweat from your brow and look down at your grime-covered hands. What did no I say about building reports? Be polite. bring gifts, do favors. There's gotta be something I can do to calm her down. Okay, does Izagi like gifts? I feel like a favor would do better. Let's try a favor. If we die, we die. The obvious gift to her is her sword. Her ghost already has swords of its own, and it might make her even more upset, since it'll remind her of how she died. You pick up the sword and sheath from the ground and set it on the table. The sheath is covered in a thin patina of grime and dust has settled in the grip. You gently pull out the blade and watch the dim light shimmer across the little islands of pristine steel among the ocean of rust. Either way, I can't give it to her like this. As you gaze down the length of the sword, you feel a tinge of sadness. Izagi wouldn't have let a single speck of rust touch this. She'd have polished it every day. Maybe if I polish it for her. You don't know much about swords, but you know that this kind of blade is usually washed with water and polished using whetstones. You don't have anything like that, and even if you did, you wouldn't know how to use them. You look around the darkened library helplessly, trying to think of some way to get some of the rust off. Your eyes fall on the ill lines of identically bound volumes lining the shelves nearby. Don't they polish some sort of cloth? You stand up and pull one of the cloth-bound books off the shelf. You run your hand along the surface of the cover, trying to feel how rough it is. No, this one's too soft. I need cheaper book cloth. Scan the bookshelves for the familiar, rougher bindings you knew from your tutoring days in Senkaku. After a few minutes, you find a handful and bring them back to the table. You carefully slice the book cloth out the volumes with your knife and pile the little rectangular sheets in a stack. When you're finished, you take Izagi's sword in one hand and a floppy piece of cloth in the other, and start rubbing the flat side of the blade. The cloth makes a dry, scraping sound against the rust, but you see large chunks of brown start to flake off. Keep rubbing the cloth up and down the blade, pressing harder and moving faster. After almost half an hour, your arm is sore and the first piece of book cloth is in tatters. You switch hands, grab a new piece of cloth, and keep going. As the ocean of rust recedes, it leaves behind little specks of brown and a reddish residue across the blade, like a faint tide of blood. You move the candle closer to get a difficult spot, and for the first time you notice the inscription on the blade. You can make out some of the tagged letters, but not the whole words. Focus your rubbing on them, trying to dig away at the stubborn flakes of rust obscuring the sentence. Finally, after an hour, the only thing that remains are a few dozen brown spots scattered across the blade. You gaze at them with unfocused eyes and realize that those brown spots remind you of your own flesh. They look like little spots of cancer. You turn the blade over and gaze at the inscription, whose letters are still outlined in reddish brown. In all things, body, mind, and heart united. Reading those lines, you remember what Izagi said to you on the river all those years ago. Its sound is supposed to drain the mind, body, and soul, and my mind is a fucking mess. I wonder if she was the one who chose the inscription, or if Izam chose it to remind her. You hold the sword in both hands with the tip pointed toward the ceiling and look over it again. You can see where your rubbing has left tiny, thin scratches on the blade. That's as close to perfect as it can get. You set the naked blade down on the table and open the grimoire again. You look down on Izagi's page and sigh. Izagi Hito. You feel the air grow colder, and you watch as Izagi's ghost crawls out of the book again. This giant frame steps off the table and stares down at you. You stand up and open your mouth to say something, but the ghost interrupts you. Don't speak. Return me to the book or release me. I can't. Not yet. I don't care. I have something for you. You turn to the table and lift the sword with both hands, then hold out the handle to the ghost. The ghost stares back at you, unmoving. It's not perfect, but I tried to polish it. I know you wouldn't have liked it to be covered in rust. The ghost reaches out with one of its arms and grips the handle of the sword, then lifts it out of your palms. It holds the blade close to its eyeless face and seems to look up and down the steel. It is tainted and dirty, disgusting like you. Before you can respond, the ghost swings the sword outward. The blade just stops short of your neck, but you don't dare to look down at it. Last words? Yes. You take a deep breath and try to recite the words without stuttering. In all things, body, mind, and heart united. Did you remember that? The written on the sword. Did you choose them, or did someone choose them for you? The ghost hesitates and the blade near her throat quavers. I chose them. To make a perfect strike, the wielder's mind, body, and heart must be perfectly aligned. If there is doubt, if there is hesitation, if there is turmoil, then the sword will reflect it. Because the sword is a mirror that reflects the soul. The ghost speaks that last sentence softly, as if it's remembering the words and reciting them to itself. It stands there for a long time, still holding the sword in its hands. Swords teach you to make every movement like the stroke of a brush on paper. Never too much pressure, never rushed. Everything in its right place and the proper time. So when you've mastered it, you realize that you don't need a sword anymore. That's right. You told me that. I don't remember saying that. You told me that Izam told you to take up swordsmanship because of her every move. Every strike was life or death. It's supposed to teach you how to make peace with yourself, I think. And you told me that when you were done, you wouldn't need martial arts anymore. I told you that you should have just gone through the motions. But you want to understand it. No half measures for you. And that was the difference between us. You tried so hard to show me, but it took me a long time to understand. What do you understand? That doesn't matter if you can fool other people or fool yourself. Sooner or later you have to face the truth, and that means going all the way. We sparred. You were always cautious, hesitant. You wouldn't commit. I tried to draw it out of you, push you until you broke. Yeah, I remember you saying something. It was one of the first classes we had together. I was exhausted, but he saw me as a run to the river. I fell in the water. I told you there was no way I was going to make it back. You looked down at your feet and leaned down. Gently pull out the rags wrapped around your feet, until you reveal your ravaged souls. Black splotches cover the skin, but beneath it you can see the gouges and calluses. I don't remember all of it, but I walked all the way back here. The bridge was broken, so I climbed down into the gorge and I think I climbed back up the other side. Izagi's ghost reaches out and touches the ball of your foot with its fingertips. It's a strange sensation on your skin, like your flesh is falling asleep. Told me a long time ago that we all have hidden depths of strength. It's just a matter of bringing it out. The cancer. How many years has it been? 5 years, give or take a few months. How did you survive? Or stop from changing into something else? I was resistant to the, disease. And I got treatment early, I think. How did you get out of campus? I lied to the soldiers at the front gate. Told them I was a faculty member and that I had to get out. That sounds like you. You would do anything to save yourself. To get what you wanted. No matter who it hurt. You interrupt the ghost before it can start to remember the past. There was something I wanted to tell you. What? You struggled to come up with something that would interest Izagi's ghost. Something would show that it can trust you. You look at the ghost's smooth, featureless face and are reminded of someone. Did you ever hear about the Dyer? What are you talking about? There's a guy who came to Senkaku when I was a teenager. He was, really strange. He was 6'5" and wore a white mask, like a theater mask, made of porcelain. So what? He was supposed to be some great martial artist. Got his name because he would dye people's skin when he struck them. He used his fingertips. Wait, do you mean a scarecrow? Was that a different nickname? My master, Mistress Hatsu, told us about a man from the Musen archipelago who wore a white porcelain mask. He supposedly struck with his fingers. Did you meet him? Kind of. I walked by him once in the plaza, and I think he was sleeping on the streets. What was he doing? A bunch of kids were watching him balancing on a tightrope. And there was a rope showing across the plaza. Didn't realize what everyone was looking at until I looked up. He was just walking back and forth, like he was just walking down the street. Did you ever see him fight someone? Once. A lot of people were trying to get him to take on duels. They wanted to do exhibitions so they could charge for tickets, but he wouldn't accept any duels. The fight I saw lasted about a minute. Some lady stopped him in the street and started trying to take off his mask. She was a martial artist. A bunch of people heard a fight was going down, so we all ran to see it. And it was just standing there. You shake your head. He was taking every kick and every punch he threw at him. She was vicious too. She knocked him down a few times, and as soon as he got back up, she went back to beating him. I remember thinking how skinny and frail he looked. He had long hair and it was coated in mud from the street. His mask was dirty and I wondered how he breathed in it. But he kept getting up. And when she finally ran out of breath, he took one big step forward and bunched up his fingers so that all the fingertips were touching. You hold up your right hand and squeeze all your fingers together, like you're holding a tiny ball with all 5 fingertips. Looks sort of like a bird's head when you look down on it. And he started pecking at her chest with his fingertips, like a bird pecking at wood. He hit her neck, her collarbones, her stomach. His hands moved so fast that it was hard to keep track of them. She tried to shield herself with her hands, but it got her shoulders and wrists too. Arms just hung at her sides, and in about 5 seconds, she stepped back. What did he do to her? Have you ever seen what happens when someone's struck by lightning? The rings? No. Sometimes the lightning penetrates the skin, flows along the veins. When it finally exits the body, it leaves behind these scars. You can see them through the skin. He did something similar. When he strikes, he hits the blood vessels under the skin. The force of the blow ruptures the veins and the blood spills out. For a while, it just sits there in the shape of the vein and looks like those lightning scars. And after a while, all the blood pools under the skin and makes a big black bruise. When that happens, it looks like every place he touched had been dyed with ink. But that's not the wild part. The wild thing is that he always gets beat up like that. Counts on it. He must have incredible endurance if he can weather that many blows. Yeah, I thought so too. From what I saw, he was just coated in bruises, so his skin was all black and blue and green. And someone told me that he couldn't win if he didn't, let them beat him up first. What? You tap your arm, then slide your finger down to your wrist. From what I heard, underneath all those bruises are graphmancy spells. Spell maps tattooed across the skin. They only do 2 things. Absorb force and store it. Every time someone hits him, the spell maps siphon off most of the force, so he doesn't feel much pain. He just lets them beat on him until you punch your palm with your fist, wincing a little as your knuckles strike the cuts and gashes. He decides he's had enough force. That's when he counterattacks. Takes all that force that he's stored up and puts it in his fingertips. And must focus it in a space about as big as the head of a pin. All that force focuses into a tiny little area. I don't know exactly how it works, but whatever you hit with him with, he gives it right back. But when he does, he's not blindly swinging. They say you would try to make pictures from the burst blood vessels, like he was tattooing you, except it wasn't permanent. I don't know what he was trying to draw. You sit back down at the table and look at your hand in silence. You remember sitting with Izagi a long time ago. You were sitting on her bed and you told her that she had beautiful hands. The ghost doesn't say anything for a while. Then it sets a sword on the table and sits down on the other side, easing itself into a cross-legged position. I heard that the Scarecrow was a con man. They had beaten a lot of martial artists with some kind of trick. No one ever told me how he did it. I don't think they knew. All they knew is that he never lost. And if you never lost, you were either cheating or you were invincible. And no one wants to admit that someone's better than them. But he wasn't. Not really. What? I mean, yes, he was the last one standing in those fights. But if you think about it, he didn't beat them because he was stronger or faster or, I don't know, more talented. All he did was let them tire themselves out, then strike back with the strength they gave him. All he had to do was endure it long enough to get there. I mean, if they didn't throw a single punch at him, then he wouldn't have to be able to beat them. The ghost's head raises a little. What do you say? I said that they didn't strike him at all, then he wouldn't be able to beat them. The ghost raises one of its hands to his face as if covering its mouth. That's what it means. When you're truly strong, you don't have to fight anymore. He did it. That's what made him invincible. What do you mean? He wasn't invincible because he was faster or more skilled. It was because the moment you try to fight him, you were fighting yourself. The only way to not get beaten would be to never fight him at all. I hadn't thought of it like that. You sigh, look up at the ghost, but to your surprise, Izagi is sitting across from you. Izagi. Yes? Before I say anything else, I want to say that I'm sorry for everything. You can't finish the sentence. Tears well up in your eyes and the words catch in your throat. You sit there wiping your eyes, trying to keep the weight of 5 years of misery from breaking you completely. You glimpse Izagi through the haze of tears and see her staring at you, shoulders stiff. You're everything I despise. You're so pathetic and hateful and disgusting that just looking at you makes me so angry. I can't remember the reason. I remember pieces of it. I remember talking to faculty and me giving you something. But I can't put it all together. It's like I've gone over it so many times that I've worn it out, and now? All I can feel is the hole in myself where that memory used to be. You inhale, trying to clear your nose. You finish wiping your eyes and nod your head. I see. Just like me, she can't remember. I'm trying to remember. I can remember so many pieces of it, but they just flash by and then they're gone and I don't. I think I may be able to help. You turn the grimoire around so that Izagi can see it. I'm guessing you know what a grimoire is. And that is your soul, there on the page. Izagi leans forward to look at the diagram. She stares at it for a long time before saying anything. So I really am dead. This is my soul? Yeah. Izagi stares at the grimoire for a few seconds, and you see her chest start to heave. Oh God. What's wrong, Izagi? She shuts her eyes and grits her teeth. Close it! Close it. You close the grimoire with a heavy thud. On the other side of the table, a single tear runs down Izagi's face. What's wrong? What did you see? I'm dead. It was all for nothing. Everything I did, I never got to. Izagi hangs her head, and her chest bucks as she cries. You get up and kneel down next to her, but you realize that you can't touch her. And the handle goes straight through. Finally, she wipes her face. Her eyes are still shut, however. You said you could help. I think I can. How? You can try to enter your memories using the grimoire. But I don't know how to help you remember everything. I think I can help piece together some of your memories, and maybe put together the ones you can't remember. Okay. You turn the grimoire around again and open it. You find Izagi's soul diagram and stare down at the shifting shapes. You touch one of the points of the patterns and see a word fade into view. Hatsu. The room around you fades from view, and you feel yourself falling. You open your eyes and find yourself standing in a large, sunlit room, with straw mats covering the floor. Beneath the mats, you can see a wooden floor polished to a glossy shine. You immediately feel the warmth from the sun soaking into your skin, and smell the musky scent of old sweat. The walls of the building seem to have been dismantled to give you a stunning view of the river nearby. Afternoon sunlight sparkles in the water, dazzling your eyes and throwing spots of light on the ceiling. They're standing among a dozen other people. We're all seated cross-legged on the floor. They range from teenagers to seniors, and all of them are dressed in white uniforms with heavy hakama pants. Everyone is watching So in the front of the room. Tall, severe-looking woman with a wiry frame and dark hair. She looks to be in her 40s, but her movements are sharp and relaxed. Is that Izagi's instructor? She's really pretty. She's moving it through the stances of an elaborate kata, one that seems as flowing as the river outside. Master of the dojo? She seems to fit the bill. Glance around, but you don't see Izagi. You turn around to look at the rear of the dojo, and that's when you spot her. She's sitting on the bench with two hazy black figures. Her parents? Izagi looks the same as she did in Netson, down to the uniform. How is that possible? That is the third form. You turn around and find that the master has finished the kata. Her face is humorless. The woman looks at the seated students and raises her eyebrows. We are honored today by the presence of the Ito family. They have traveled here to observe our technique, our discipline, and above all else, the woman looks past you to the back of the room. The strength of our pedigree. An icy silence follows that last word. Please, all of you, begin your daily exercises and show our guests what defines this school. The other students begin to stand up. One youth near the back begins to stretch. He has close-cropped black hair and firm-toned physique. The master walks straight up to him and folds her hand in front of her. Kazari, as the most senior disciple present, please offer yourself to the Ito family. Their daughter, Izagi, is interested in joining the school. Assess her fitness and character as best as you can. I'll be along shortly to watch. Yes, mistress. And Kazari? The woman leans in and gives him a conspiratorial smile. They came here to be impressed, so don't be afraid to show off a little. He smiles back at the woman and nods. She has a warm smile. Yes, mistress. Kazali turns around and makes his way back to the dojo, where Izagi and her parents have already risen from their seats. I'm guessing Izagi looks like that in her memories because that's how she looked when she died. Oh, it's just supposed to be me, but it says Kazari. Now it should be Kazari. Greetings, Master and Mistress of the House of Ito. My name is Kazari, and I've been asked to observe your daughter's skills. And this is where I'll stop. But if you're enjoying this video, please leave a like, comment your things so far, and who your best girl is, and subscribe. If you want to watch more of this visual novel, please check the playlist down below. If you want to watch other visual novels, please check my channel down below. Thank you, and take care.